All right, it's that time again. Make yourself a cuppa. Come on back and sit down, and we will be discussing subtleties and nuance of sound today on It's Cuppa Time. All right, subtleties and nuance of sound. I find this all goes hand in hand with tea, with drinking tea. So let's talk about tea first. Tea is just about the only thing I drink. I love it. I love all the different flavors. It can be 100 degrees in the summer and I will be drinking hot tea. I just love tea. And when I used to tour around, I have a big percussion bag designed to hold all your percussion instruments, your shakers, tambourines, all that. It's got compartments in it. It's a big padded bag. And I made that my quote-unquote tea bag for touring. I would have my teapot in there to heat the water. I would have cups. This is one of them. I bought this probably 15 years ago on tour, somewhere at a Meijer store in Ohio or Michigan or somewhere. I found these beautiful red cups, my favorite color, so I bought 3 or 4 of them. So I'd have my teapot, my cups. I'd have the teas I wanted to drink, usually 3, maybe 4 varieties with me, some sugar, maybe some snacks, some little cookies or biscuits, and then I would always bring a case of bottled water in the van and put some bottled water in my bag so I could bring that into the hotel or whatever place I was staying, and then I could make my tea. So that worked out really well. So tea. One of the things I really enjoy about tea is all the nuance and subtlety of the flavors. Now, if you start drinking tea and you're drinking Lipton tea bags or similar, it's pretty bland tea. It's tea, but there's not much happening. When you jump into the world of loose leaf teas, quality loose leaf teas, then you will find a lot of different shades of flavor, a lot of nuance in it. And that's a big part that I enjoy about drinking tea. I usually have anywhere from 10 to 15 canisters of tea in my cupboard at a time because I like to mix them up. And they fit my different moods and different things. If I'm going to sit down and read at night, I might want a nice Darjeeling tea, very soft and subtle. In the morning, I like either an Earl Grey or an Irish breakfast tea, something that's really strong and stout and a lot of flavor. So different teas. And I've learned over the years how to identify all these different flavors in the teas. And I can tell teas from different growers, from different tea houses that I buy from, and I can tell the different flavors, even from year to year. So along the way, I worked in the olive oil business for about 5 or 6 years. Very similar. We worked with growers around the world and brought in olive oils made from a single varietal, meaning pressed from one type of olive. So this olive oil would be pressed from Manzanilla olives. This one would be pressed from Picual olives. This one from Arbequina olives. Once in a while a blend, but mostly single varietals, because those had all the uniqueness, all the flavors, all the subtleties and nuances. And part of my job was when the new oils were available, we would get samples. And I had to taste them all. And I had to identify what sort of flavors are in these olive oils here. What sort of flavors would our customers like? What do I like? And I would have to write up descriptions And we would taste the oils and share our descriptions of what we thought they were like. And I got very good at this and really developed my palate. So, tasting things like teas and olive oil or wines, very, very similar. Different years, different vineyards, different types of grapes will yield different flavors. And from wine to wine, there's a lot of nuance, a lot of subtleties. So all these things are very similar. So what's that got to do with playing gongs and bowls? Everything. Because like developing your palate for tastes and flavors, we want to develop our ears for sounds. We want to be able to hear the subtleties and the nuances of what we are doing. So if you're a very beginner, you have your first gong or your first singing bowl, and you listen to it, you are probably hearing things more one-dimensionally. The main note of that instrument is really coming through, and you are hearing that. And then you're hearing some overtones, but that's probably a little more in the background. You were just more focused on that main note because it stands out so much. Now, as you go along and you work with your instruments, hopefully your ears will develop, your brain will also develop, and you will start hearing more than that one note. And the overtones won't be kind of a jumble of overtones. You will start to be able to pick out different ones, different shades of the sound. And that's really important. I think, it's something we really need to develop. If we are serious about our craft, serious about working with these instruments, we need to be able to hear all these different sounds, all the subtleties and nuances. So that's something to work on. When you are practicing, instead of just, you're playing and hitting the gong and you go, oh, that sounds great. This is really good. Work with it in different ways. But every time you play, listen to it. What can you hear? How far can you hear into the sound? That's really important. Because when we're playing for others, we want to be able to bring out all these different sounds, all these nuances. Even if the people listening are untrained and they're mainly focused on the big sound that they're hearing, the main note, the subtleties, the overtones are there. We want them available. And we need to know how to produce that because we can sometimes bring out a lesser sound, an overtone or whatever, and make it more prominent, all by our mallet choice, how we strike the instrument, things like that. So it's important to practice. You just can't, keep your gong in a bag or keep it hanging on a stand in your back room for a week and then, oh, I'm doing a session, let's go, and you go and play it, and then you come home, you put it away for another week. It really doesn't work. I practice all the time. I'm always working on new things. And I would hope that if someone saw me once a year, that they would go, oh, I saw him last year, but this year it sounds different than last year. And they see me again the next year and go, oh, it sounds different than the previous 2 years. I don't want to always be, presenting the exact same sounds. Hopefully I am presenting something that's a deeper experience each time you would see me because I keep working at it. I keep trying to bring more into it. So hopefully that would be something that, somebody would notice. And I've had people tell me that. Even now, after this, we're at the sort of, hopefully at the end of this COVID situation. It's currently May of 2021 as I film this. And I've been presenting sessions for the past month now. And I did change up my setup. I changed up quite a few instruments. I bought new instruments. What else what was there to do? Turn the lockdown, but buy more instruments. So now I switched out some of my old instruments to the newer instruments, and I've played a couple sessions where people who have seen me before said, you have some new sounds, don't you? They noticed. They were listening. And I'm taking those new sounds and I'm learning them and I'm working with them to hopefully bring out all the sounds that I can. So it's important. You need to work on your craft. I've written about this over and over. I've talked about it to people in person. I've written about it on Facebook and other places. And to me, it's the single most important thing is you have to work on your craft. Like I said, you can't just put your gear away, bring it out on the weekend, go do a session, come home, put it away, bring it out next weekend. You have to work on your craft. If you can see my studio here, I am surrounded by instruments, gongs, bells, bell plates, all kinds of instruments. They're hanging all around me. It's a 360-degree field of instruments here. And I'm always playing them. Whenever I come down here, I play something. I work at it. I think about, what can I do today that's different? How can I get a different sound? What mallet can I pick up and use on this gong or this bowl or bell to get a different sound? Or how can I get a better sound than I've been getting, a fuller sound, a sound that seems more, more prominent, stronger, things like that. So I am always asking myself these questions and approaching things in that manner, trying to improve what I'm doing. I have a particular gong that every time I walk in here, I hit it. Just because I'm trying to really get the subtleties down, get the sounds. I hit it in different ways. I hit it with different mallets. I'm working with it, learning it, listening to it, feeling it too. That's important. Feeling, how does this affect me? What is this doing to me? So these are all important things, the subtleties and nuances of the sound and vibrations we produce. We need to know them. So, I hope this has been helpful. I hope this series is helpful. Please subscribe by hitting that button below if you like it. And we will see you next time on It's Cuppa Time.